picture this. You just got done scuba diving and snorkeling in Belize for your coral conservation class. And you're at dinner with a few of your classmates, and the subject of environmentalism gets brought up. And the person across from you says, well, who actually cares about the environment? No one actually does. As a sustainability master student, what do? Well, you don't have that conversation right there and then because it's 8 p.m. and no one wants to have that conversation. And this got me thinking. This actually relates to what I study. I study something known as delocalization. Delocalization is the idea that we are displaced from our local space and that there are actors far away from us influencing our experience. And why is delocalization important? Well, delocalization is important because it affects how we think about climate change. Climate change is an example of slow violence. And slow violence is this idea that when we act, we don't see our consequences immediately. For example, many of you probably drove here. Your action of driving here has a consequence that you don't see. It affects the environment, and you don't see that right there and then. So that's slow violence, but we can't see slow violence. So how do we document it? Well, we use nature photography. And you can all picture that polar bear on the ice cap. It's the classic picture of climate change. That's an example of slow violence because we're able to actually visually see what CO2 does. And nature photography, it makes us connect more, it makes us want to act. But nature photography actually has a double-edged sword effect. It puts nature out there, and it's not connected to us. Nature isn't the tree that's outside of Benson. It's not the grass that's out on Ronaldo Hall. So why is all of this important? We need to understand why we are not connected to nature and why we're not connected to our space and how that affects how we think about climate change. Because if we're unable to understand our relationship with the nature, we're not going to be able to truly act on climate change. Our actions have consequences, and until we understand those consequences and how doing something here affects someone all the way over on the other side of the world, we won't be able to make meaningful action on climate change. Thank you.